For In Motion, I'm Kurt Parker. For most college students, a final project is meant to be the culmination of all that a student has learned over the past semester. But what if a student has an idea and the drive to make that final project into something more?
Abram is an honors student here at Penn State, and he's majoring in art, and his focus area of specialization is in photography. And so he was interested in going to Rwanda to basically assist them with whatever needs that they had to look into the circumstances that the Rwandan people found themselves in.
The circumstances that the Rwandan people found themselves in was referred to as the Great War, a conflict that began as a civil war between the two tribes who inhabited the country, the Hutus and the Tutsis. Soon the violence that took place on Rwandan soil turned to state-sponsored genocide. Neighbor on neighbor, teacher on student, merchant on customer. In all, nearly 1 million people died. After collaborating with a student who was working on a graduate project that dealt with the Rwandan people, Abram developed a separate project dealing with the orphans in the town of Gitarama.
The country of Rwanda is beautiful since it's located right below the equator, and all the land is a very high elevation over there. It doesn't get above 85 degrees. Sun rises at 5:30 in the morning, sun sets around 6:30 at night, every day, all year. You know, it's just beautiful rolling hills, and you could see for miles.
One of the goals of the project was to raise money for the orphanage through the sales of the photographs that Abram and the children took while he was there. And while the project was expansive, and by all accounts noble, there was one pitfall that Abram's advisor was concerned about.
The one thing that I was concerned about was the fact that the Rwandan people have been victimized because of this horrible genocide. And one of the things that we have to be careful of as artists is that the art that we produce, while it can be critical, when I say critical, I mean in terms of responding with questions, responding with ways of, in a sense, making the world a better place, if you will. The concern about compassion and care. You know, how do you take a photograph of somebody who's been victimized like that without making them into a spectacle?
I only shot about half the film that I had taken over there. There was this level of respect that I had to give to the people, and at times it was much more appropriate for me to come into somebody's house and just sit and talk with them and listen with them and just be their guest instead of being somebody who just wanted to take pictures of them and leave. I didn't want to fulfill a stereotype of a photographer that just goes in and takes pictures and is not respectful of the people. So a lot of that was making personal conversations with people, and then after our conversation, after hearing their story, asking them if I could take a portrait of them. A lot of my photographs centered around the 12 orphans of the Umuryango Children's Home in Gitarama, and they were amazing, bright, and just life-filled kids. They are acrobats, all of them. They all, for entertainment, they just teach each other how to do backflips, front flips, all these amazing aerial stunts, and they would also teach each other how to fight, and how to almost do these amazing fighting stances, to put in with these acrobatics. I took a lot of film on these kids, and a lot of the pictures turned out very well. I ended up going into a public school and meeting a lot of the teachers over there and meeting the principal, and one of the teachers ended up taking me. She led me around and also helped interpret for me and helped interpret what the kids were saying and different things. And she invited us to her house. She brought out her photo album and was showing me pictures, going far back into her marriage, and just looking at them. And then we got to a few pictures, and she said, these are pictures of my husband, yet I consider myself a widow. So we continued looking through the photographs, and I didn't ask her directly because I could see that there was a story behind it. And so I had asked her to go back to a picture of her husband, and I ended up taking a picture of her holding up a portrait of her husband in front of her face. I didn't really ask any questions about it then. Turns out that her husband was also a school teacher. Her husband is incarcerated for war crimes. Due to the nature of what had happened in 1994, it was most likely that he was also a perpetrator of these crimes. And you read stories in books about how even teachers, even elementary school teachers, high school teachers would separate the two tribes in their classroom, separate the Hutus and the Tutsis. When it all came to a head in 1994, would even kill their own students.
In the end, Abram's venture across the ocean proved to be a successful one. But for a project of this magnitude to be completed with this degree of success, there is something to be said for the type of student who takes on this kind of project.
What Eric did was extremely powerful work because it is conceptually compelling. And how he was able to pull that out was that he was a dedicated student in this school. He didn't just learn the technical stuff, but he understood that he's working with ideas, that art is a form of intellectual as well as creative work. Art making is about thinking, about reflecting, about seeing things the way other people don't see, so that what your work does is it enables other people to see the world differently than they're used to seeing. It's a way of challenging stereotypes. Eric, what really drives this is this incredible passion to learn, this incredible drive, in a sense, to make meaning out of one's life. That when one makes a work of art, they're not just doing it to decorate their couch or to put something up in their dorm room, but they are ultimately, through the work of art and through the process of making art, is to ask the larger questions about their own lives and to define who they are as human beings within a world that is often engaged in very questionable kinds of things.
Asking questions, formulating ideas, making meaning out of the world, and through that, making life better. For In Motion, I'm Kurt Parker.